You would have when you win Fireside. Oh.
Oh. Doop 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 doop. I don't know when to stop. When do I stop? James is just not having any of this shit. It's like, I'll let you make a fool out of yourself alone.
I thought you were doing great. I was rocking out. I was like, this is what we needed. It brings it all together. The true Hearthstone experience. I was having a blast.
All right, we're gonna get like a shitty flute Hearthstone soon enough. So on this note, guys, welcome back to the the last match of the day. RDU versus Zalae. They're both aggro decks, aggro lineup. So this should be a quick one. Although we've had some back and forths, there's a lot of decision making that comes into it, especially when one of the players chooses a different ban than the other. And I'm wondering what exactly is prompting this. You know, Zalae banning the warrior and RDU choosing to ban the aggro druid.
Mm-hmm. The banning the warrior has been the tendency to try and squeeze out the quest rogue. I kind of mentioned it previously in a different matchup. It's just, what do you believe quest rogue has the better chances against? And quest rogue has a slightly better chance against aggro druid than it does against pirate warrior, and a lot better chance against paladin than the other two. So it has more potential to edge its way out if you leave up the druid. However, the druid in general just has better matchups across the field. So that's a risk that you take. You improve your matchups of your worst deck slightly and worsen the matchups of your other two decks. So there's an ups and downs to it. But it's been more popular, I'd say, to see that the warrior is banned than the druid is banned. But RDU just takes the line of thought of ban the best deck. Zalae takes the line of thought of ban the deck that makes my worst deck the best.
Even worse. So. Yeah, basically you're trying to make sure that rogue does not get completely shut down by everything. So there's still a slight chance Zalae can do this. I don't expect any crazy tech from that rogue deck from either player. I don't know if RDU is running Hungry Crab's main deck. I forget what his lists contain, but if Zalae does, then that gives him an edge, of course, against the Paladin, or even against the rogue. We've seen Balefin Hidehunters just about everywhere, so that can also find some value.
And in the European Championship for HCT this weekend, RDU was not playing the Finja package in his Druid. We saw his Druid a few times today. I can't remember. We've seen so many aggro Druids. Did we see Murlocs in it?
We didn't see the Bluegill Warrior shenanigans, I don't think. No, it's been just the rest. We've seen the Murloc package everywhere else from the aggro Druid. It's just present there with Bluegill Warrior. Zalae is definitely running it.
Right.
But RDU seems like he's not.
So not running the Murloc package will help him against the Quest Rogue if the Quest Rogue has decided to tech in crabs, but in general hurts your aggro Druid deck across the board, just because the Finja package is such a huge power spike in the tech.
Yeah, Fiery War Axe here for Zalae. No, it didn't pick up a 1-drop, but that's all fine. When you've got the Fiery War Axe, you just start cleaning up the board, and one of the things that aggro Druid does not do very well is draw enough cards to repopulate the board after you start clearing it up. So that War Axe is a really huge problem for RDU.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just threatens to kill every minion he plays. So he's going to go out and use the Mark of Yeshuraj here just to get it outside the range of the War Axe. But it's kind of a fruitless effort, because if Zalae plays any pirate, he pulls patches, or if he finds an upgrade effect.
Or if he finds an upgrade effect, why not? Yes, this is the best of both worlds.
Right. And then he's got to swing the next turn to help set up his frothing. And he also has just the ability to preserve the minions on board now.
On the flip side, though, RDU is like, okay, at least my Corsair gets to do what it wants in life, which is kill off a weapon. It would have been fine if the weapon, wasn't used up and instead, had to trade the patches in. But now he's going to get to clean up the board himself over a few turns and also deal with the weapon. So it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's no blowout, but it's not fantastic. He does set up a board, though, that Zalae can't really trade into. All of these 1-2s are not directly contested by the patches.
Unless South Sea Captain's there, right?
Unless South Sea Captain's there, yeah.
And that would be a problem for RDU, actually. How much do you worry about it? Because the thing is, there's more 3-drops. Like, Bloodcell Cultist and Frothing Berserker and South Sea Captain all wreck you, even if you play...
He's going to play around the Captain by using the hero power instead of developing the 2 Fireflies here. So yeah, he's playing around that Captain, but it is a lot worse against just Frothing Berserkers straight up, because now he can't trade in the 3 trades in his hero power to remove the frothing. So this is a problem that's going to persist on the board. And Aggro Druid, not a deck with almost any removal. Sometimes it has one of swipe, or rarely it'll have two of swipe, but often no swipes, no rats, nothing like that. So the Frothing Berserker, if it sticks for a long time.
Yeah, and it usually just wins the game straight up, so you're going to rely on those. Usually the Murloc package bails you out, because you just get, the extra Bluegill Warrior to... It's like your removal in that deck very often, but in this case, if there are indeed no Murlocs for RDU... You know what we need next? We need to add a... There we go.
Okay, you didn't play them in this weekend in the preliminaries, and he happened to be one of the players that made it to top 4 in the preliminaries. He didn't have the Murloc package in, but he does have the Murloc package in for StarLadder. These deck lists were kind of submitted a few weeks ago, so still debate over which package is actually better. But at this point in time, when he submitted these deck lists, he clearly thought the Murloc package was better, or maybe it just fits better in his lineup.
Regardless of what happens here, Zalae, he's got the ability to clean up the War Leader if he wants to. There's a downside of basically not keeping a healthy Frothing, which is unfortunate. So maybe you just play the 4-drop for tempo. Right. Get the biggest minion out there.
If you clear the War Leader, you're playing a 1-drop and Hero Power in, which is
it's awful.
Is really low tempo. Whereas the other way around, you lose some of the value out of the minion as it's not able to increase the attack damage of a weapon, but it's still a 5/4, and that's still bigger than everything on the board. So I think it's most definitely going to be the Nagi Corsair that has to come out here. He has only value in his hand right now. He just needs to take low value, high tempo plays, because there's not really too many cards in Hearthstone that compete with Arcanite Reaper for direct value. It's just 5 mana, kill 2 minions, leveraging your life total, of course.
Yeah, and it's not as though RDU's deck is likely to contain anything that answers this. Hungry Crab's also, funny enough, not playable on a board where you're keeping that War Leader, because you're forced to play it into your own Murlocs. In this case, it's not a big deal because he gets to trade it away, but it's happened before where it just gets stranded in the hand and is unable to be played.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Druid having no cards in hand, one of the best ways to kind of capitalize on that is to kill as many things as you possibly can. Just make sure that their buffs are not live off the top, and then the only punish from that would be the Hydra. So I imagine he's going to take a value trade, then use the Reaper to kill the 3/3, hold on to the Core Crown Elite just to make sure if Hydra does come out, he can use that to clean up the Hydra efficiently.
To be fair, though, the Hydra would be quite a problem. This is the best Savage Roar RDU is going to get this game, that's for sure.
Right.
Yeah, and the Hydra would possibly bail RDU out of this if he finds it. Mm-hmm. Living Mana definitely would. Living Mana would be insane off the top. So it looks like he's just going to clean up the minions and push for 6. That's the crazy part about Aggro Druid, though.
Interesting.
What's up?
Instead of using his face with the 3 damage to kill the 5/3, he traded a minion. He's at 28 life. He could have had another minion sticking around threatening to get in more chip damage. He feels like he needs that extra life to make it so Zalae can't set up lethal maybe on the following turn. He feels that much under pressure. That gives him more time to find living mana, but having 1 less minion in play, you'd think 5 life would be not worth that, but he's done some math with the clock, obviously.
Oh, right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Because I like if it's to buy time for living mana, then I kind of understand where he's coming from, right? Where you're getting 1 extra turn to just jam 7 2/2s on the board, which wins you the game straight up. Mm-hmm. If it happens. Mana
for him here. But we'll see. Does that 5 life that he tried to gain there end up allowing him to have 1 extra turn?
Not based on what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Unless there's something... I mean, if there's no Reaper, maybe it does, actually. If there's no huge weapon that comes out, it could. Because there's 11 on board, and if there's no more rush damage, that's exactly enough to stay above the threshold where the weapons kill you. Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
So yeah, that's what he was trying to do when he shipped in the minion instead of his face there. Tried to get 1 more turn where he could potentially top deck living mana, and the Reaper's going to shut down that dream.
Most of the cards, though, in Zalae's deck accelerated the clock beyond that extra turn, I think, no matter what. But RDU, even with living mana here, would not be able to do anything. No target for Mark of Ishar, no saving grace from some kind of weird, swipe one of. There's nothing in here to help him out. And that is going to give Zalae the lead in the series. Pirate Warrior against even not the the Rogue is pretty good for him.
Right. Sometimes the Pirate Warrior can be kind of stuck because in the aggro mirrors, it's one of the worst aggro decks actually, because it's not as board focused as the other aggro decks. It's more burn focused. It has things like Mortal Strike in it a lot of the times and Heroic Strike, which are cards that are just totally dead in an aggro mirror most of the game. So it can oftentimes lose the board early. Druid has 8 1-drops, whereas Pirate Warrior oftentimes only has 4, unless you count Upgrade as a 1-drop. So it really rarely wins the early game against aggro Druid as convincingly as it did there.
Well, we'll see if RDU is going to be able to catch up from that, because that was a pretty devastating loss, because the aggro Druid's supposed to do better here, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the Quest Rogue up against Zalae's remaining decks.
Zalae's hand is quite weak, and the Quest Rogue does have a Shadow Step, so as RDU, you got to be pretty happy seeing all of these bounce effects able to connect. Can already make the quest happen. He just needs to find a 1-drop, because doing the quest on a 2-drop is dreadfully slow.
It's dreadfully slow, but at the same time, given the fact that you're always getting the extra body left behind from Bilefin, slows down the opponent. Okay, never mind. We picked up a Southsea, but it sometimes just slows down the opponent long enough that if your 2-drop is not Novice Engineer, but it's Bilefin, I think it's a little bit more tolerable. Because the extra 1/1 on the board matters.
Yeah, playing Bilefin here is pretty good, because even if Rock Pool comes down, you can still kill off the minion. That is a clunky hand. There's not a lot of action. I think you just have to tempo Aldor onto the Bilefin Tidehunter, making it a 1/1. As sad as that sounds.
You could get extra 1/1s on the board if you wanted to contest the bounced Bilefin. It's weak to Dagger, but if his turn is Dagger, I think you're okay with that.
Okay, so what do you want to do?
Are you okay with the Dagger? I just like Hero Power Grimscalp Shum just to get the bodies on the board. Since it's a Murloc for the Gentle Megasaur setup.
Right, and your opponent's like trading into your minion anyway.
Yeah, and the 5/4 is worth a ton against that rogue, because it's not moving unless they throw a ton into it early in the game. So the earlier that guy comes out, and you can follow it up with Shoe Silver and Redemption even, I think it's not a bad situation.
Yeah, it would be a lot better against Glacial Shard and whatnot too. Wouldn't have hated it. Wow, the second deckhand up. Now he can complete the quest very quickly on deckhands. Should be able to get a turn 5 quest completion. So you definitely want to be like Dagger deckhanding this turn.
The fact that he's got 2 deckhands just changes the way this game's dynamic was setting up to go. Going to speed up the pace of this game a little bit. Zalae's not going to be happy when he sees the Shadow Step. That's one thing for sure. Yeah,
that's a very, very, very good card in the Quest Road deck is Shadow Step. Drawing that improves your win rate dramatically.
That is telegraphing to Zalae, I've got a second Southsea. If I'm this early in the game throwing my stuff into yours, knowing full well this 1/1 might not stick around, you have to imagine that he's got a second Southsea deckhand, or at the very least, a second Bilefin.
I don't know if I would be able to be quite that heavy on the read, because Quest Rogue does just want to kill all your minions in the early stages. They don't want you to snowball with buffs. They don't want you to land kings on 4, for example. But maybe he's able to string it together. So if he wants to complete the quest on 5, he has to go like deckhand, Shadow Step deckhand, and then Gadgets and Ferryman it, and then play it again. And then the quest will be complete and in his hand, and then he can go like quest coin Firefly.
Okay, so he's not going to be doing that this turn, it seems.
Right, he swung with the dagger.
Yeah, so now the deckhand can't attack, which means he's going to be holding that. Well, I mean, it's an extra attack he missed, right?
It is.
What was he playing around? Noble Sack? Probably with Noble Sack, because he would never attack with the Southsea deckhand anyway.
Right. So
Okay, that's just it. Basically, is rendered irrelevant by the fact that Noble Sack was a possibility. Fair enough.
yeah,
Not a
and
misplay.
he can just hold the deckhand in his hand now. Next turn he plays it, the quest comes to his hand, and then he plays the quest, or he can try and extend it now to be able to control the board more. But he values just having a 5/5 rather than a 2/1 contesting immediately.
And Zalae now gets a really good draw. It's a 1-drop Murloc to complement the Channel Megasaur. Goes as wide on the board as possible before the inevitable quest turn comes up.
Ouch.
Yikes. That does not help end the game anytime soon.
Yeah, and additional health is quite useless when all of your opponents are going to be dealing 5 damage, but it's the best of all of them there. This allows you to take the value trades, I guess, onto the Ferryman. So that's 1 5/5 eliminated.
Well, to be fair, though, 2 turns, in 2 turns, Zalae can clock his opponent. The issue is oftentimes Rogue clocks you within 2 turns as well. If they have to pay 5 mana for that quest, you're further ahead than you think, because this South Sea cannot attack. Patches is not getting pulled.
Right.
So without preparation, RDU's quest isn't looking quite as brilliant suddenly.
He's got 10 damage on board. Over 2 turns, he can deal 8 with the True Silvers. That's like 18. You assume maybe like a couple power gets to stick. That's 1 extra damage too. The chum.
On the little tight collar getting buffed from the Murloc. You don't get to play the 1/1, but it equates out. Doesn't really matter. You just need bodies on the board to go forward, and this Murloc's a bit better. So the question is, do you trade into the South Sea to prevent bounce into dagger kill you in the face?
If he goes all face, I'm counting 24 damage over 2 turns with just the trades on board. So he's going to need to pick up a buff card to close this out. But he's really close to being able to have enough, right? He's got 4 from the True Silver, and then after the trades happen... Oh no, he does have 6. So after the trades happen, he does have the 6 to finish it.
Exactly. So he's got Zalae has enough damage. The big question was, do you ever kill the South Sea before you went full face? And in this case, he's got what he needs to keep going anyway.
Mm-hmm. So RDU needs to take the trades, bounce the South Sea, and then use it again to help him clear, which means he has to spend mana daggering, which he really doesn't want to do. It's going to be close.
You could Mimic Pot into Stone Tusk Boar for that Hail Mary, but it's probably just safer to play.
He's alive.
Play the dagger and just hope there's no more damage coming in. So he's going to survive for 1 extra turn.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, Tyrion comes down pretty soon, and Tyrion is really tough for Quest Rogue to beat because they really want to dagger down the bubble, but he's not going to have the life total to do that. So he's going to need to run a 5/5 into the bubble of Tyrion, then a 5/5 into the body, and then another 5/5 into the body.
That's 50% chance I think to find Wind Fury at 3 attack, right? I'm not sure the exact odds, but it's somewhere up there.
Yeah.
Found it!
Just able to barely kill the Quest Rogue. And now we have to think, was playing around Noble Sacrifice worth it? Because there was that opportunity that RDU had where he utilized his last dagger charge to test for Noble Sacrifice so that he could then do his whole quest completion on the deck end. What if he just said, you know what, if they have Noble Sacrifice, I'm never winning. I'm going to hold on to this dagger charge. He would complete the quest while getting in the 6 extra damage from the bouncing the deckhand. And then when the quest gets completed, he would have a 5/5 charger to help him respond to the board.
Yeah, and also, we're talking about this, and the game went, I want to say, pretty long, because that first Megasaur could have ended it even earlier. So RDU might have been better to just be less cautious and gone all in. It's hard to say with retrospect, because, of course, we're results-oriented given the caster vision, but I think it would have been a super tough call. It's a very easy, quote-unquote, misplay or, decision not to make. I think it's easy to fall into the trap or the decision of not making it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes you just have to admit that I can't beat that secret, so I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist, not play around it, go for a more aggressive line. And I think that was one of those cases. If RDU looks back at the game, I think that is definitely a point worth noting, whether or not to play around that Noble Sacrifice. Well, completing the quest on Stone Tusk Boars.
I'll take my chargers, but we're looking for a little bit more bounce here. So coin out dagger is pretty common in that spot. Just kill that 1/1.
Mm-hmm. Set up for the deckhand on the following turn to help you react to the board.
Yep, gives you an extra ping with the patches coming out as well, unless you draw it off the top, which would be an issue, but
Mm-hmm.
odds are slim.
You should be able to fully clear the board.
Yeah,
Taking 1 damage.
Yeah, if it's not patches off the draw, you're good to go. So seems about right.
Yeah, get the quest out there because you have the free mana to do so. You don't really want to be tempo stone tusk boring or anything silly.
What, you don't like tempo stone tusk boar?
No.
Getting all that boar control.
It's a removal tool. If your opponent's able to hero power it down, then it's just discarded value.
RDU's hand is absolutely insane for a longer game. He'd like to end it quick to just beat the rogue. On the upside, there's no sign of a quest being completed soon, and living mana is absolutely bonkers if they don't vanish it. That's the problem against rogue, is that if they have that vanish against living mana, you're looking at, well, basically you lose the game. To put it mildly. And
that boar control coming out, that nice little removal spell. 1 mana, deal 1 damage. That's really all you use it for in the early stages in the aggro matchups. Like, you'd love to be able to hold on to it for when it's a 5/5, but you don't have that luxury when you're going to die. Okay.
You know, I need to learn the theme song of Ungoro. I can actually sing it. Or like to it. I don't know what that word would be. I can beatbox it.
Beatboxing Ungoro. So Zalae has the decision here of if he wants to go with the Novice Engineer or if he wanted to try and complete the quest on Stone Tusk Boar. With the Shadow Step picked up, he can activate the quest on Stone Tusk Boar if he wants in the future turns.
Yeah, I think that's probably where that's headed, right? I mean, you might go for Glacial Shard now.
Well, you need another bounce effect then for Glacial Shard. I guess you could use Vanish as the bounce effect.
Oh, you could just play. But you could just play the shard.
It's a little scary to play shard
now,
because your opponent is holding on to a couple of cards they've had since the beginning of the game, and we've seen Hydra from RDU's deck. So I'm nervous about this shard.
We've seen it from Zalae. I haven't seen it from RDU.
I saw it in the Mulligan in one of his games.
Okay, I see.
The first game in this series, he had it in the Mulligan. But we haven't seen him play it yet, yeah.
And he's going to choose to bounce the Novice Engineer, probably hoping that 2-3 contests the 1-2s. That's got to be what the point of that play was. Oh, actually, it might have been a read on, hey, he's holding living mana. Let him vanish. Let him get vanished.
And Vanish can come out next turn. There's only been 1 Novice played. He does pick up another bounce effect, though, so he can complete the quest on Novice if he wants. It's a little bit slower, though. He won't be able to get it done until 7 if he tries to do it on Novice, but you have the chance of potentially hitting a prep while trying to complete the quest on Vanish. I mean, on Novice. Or you can try and get the quest done on 6 with Stone Tusk Boars.
With Stone Tusk Boar, if you slow down by 1 turn, you're able to complete it as well. Yeah, I mean, getting the extra cards gives you extra bodies on the board, but it's like a luxury at some point. You don't need more stuff on the board unless your opponent's already super wide.
Looks like he's going for the Stone Tusk Boar. He wants to have the quest done on 6. He doesn't really care too much for the value. He just wants it done.
I mean, I don't fault him. That's pretty much what this entire...
That's what the deck do.
The entire deck revolves around, so...
Yeah.
The fact that he's able to get...
You just Glacial Shard now, right? Just to have that body in play?
He didn't do it, okay.
I don't know if it was because he didn't have time or he wants to save it for the potential Hydra.
Here goes another draw you don't want if you RDU. I mean, it's helpful later in the game, but it's not really where you're orienting yourself. Oh, God.
No War Leader.
Well, a Savage Roar is pretty sweet here.
It's not bad.
Not bad. All right. Well, I'll go with not bad if that's...
Well, you push 14, right? So unless he's running Swipe in the deck or Druid of the Claw, he's not going to have a finisher beyond that. So he won't have enough damage to close out the game.
I'm not sure how that doesn't...
Oh, wait, he has the Power of the Wild, too, to cash in.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You've got him blocked and like 1 minion connecting afterwards.
Right.
Pretty much.
That's worth it for sure. I didn't see the Power of the Wild. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's at 3. You'll take those. Okay. And
You
Vanish
can't-
kills you.
you can't vanish. Playing board definitely feels a bit clunky. I mean, maybe
You can remove 2 of the minions and freeze one, which isn't enough. He's dead.
does he have a novice engineer out on prep? No. Well, prep, no. He'd have to like both vanish and freeze at the same time, but there's like no way that can. Oh, you could freeze face actually if you get prep vanish. Yeah, like
If he runs, what's
novice
it called?
into prep. You novice into prep, and then you vanish everything after killing a bluegill, and then you freeze the face. The bluegill
Okay.
hits you for 2.
That could work. And he also
Yeah.
had Mimic Pod into backstabs, clear the board except for the 2/3 and Glacial Shard the 2/3.
So with 2 dead cards in hand, RDU still manages to do it, just showing how lopsided that matchup is in favor of the Druid player.
Right.
At least it gives you a board to play with if you're the rogue player.
He was
And,
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could have went either way for a second there, but the Finja able to pull out both of those bluegills and just set up that lethal there for RDU. It was a well-executed lethal push with the Power of the Wild Roar. And we're back at it again. We did not see any Hungry Crabs from Zalae, right? So not having that is a big deal in this matchup.
Definitely didn't see them yet. They might be in there. I mean, we've not seen every single card in here, but Stone Toss board being there, pretty standard. Not really like there's no card that I've seen that just stands out as odd.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times here you just develop the Firefly rather than the quest, so you have a body in play to help challenge Murloc Tidecaller if it comes out, or as well the Hydrologist.
So I don't know if Zalae's even running Stone Shaper, right? The Tolvir.
We've not seen that either yet.
So
No Tar Creepers, no defense whatsoever yet.
yeah, we've seen Igneous Elemental, right? So there, like the Elemental package might still be there in the deck, but if the Tolvir is not there, then that leaves room for Hungry Crab. You know, if you want to include that in the deck, it doesn't seem to run backstabs either, which I know RDU is playing.
Mm-hmm. This is a good hand for Zalae, though. He's going to have a very fast quest completion here. Being able to Shadow Step a Flame Elemental to complete the quest, and the Igneous to generate the other Flame Elementals. But not a lot of value in his hand. He could get, like, actually run out of steam. Even with 5/5s, you know. And RDU's hand is just insane amounts of Murloc pressure.
It doesn't get any faster and burstier, like...
Yeah.
God!
That'll kill some people.
That will definitely take Zalae. He thinks this quest completion is going to be quick. I got news for you, buddy. Maybe not quick enough.
Right. It's a good Paladin hand. So maybe he delays the Igneous one turn to kill the 2/2 Murloc Tidecaller. Just relieves some of the pressure in case War Leader or Seer comes down, and sets up Quest Flame Elemental alongside that. It doesn't hinder his quest completion that much. Nah, it does. Yeah, if he does it that way, then he can't get the quest out on 5. So he's trying to get the quest out on 5 the best he can. So next turn he's going to play Quest and all the Flame Elementals, and then Shadow Step 1, and then try and play Flame Elemental Quest on 5. And he's really just hoping RDU doesn't have these Murloc buffs.
Yeah, and at the very least, this little 2/3 is, you know, he's hoping it's able to contest this, really. So if there's no Cold Lights here, no Murloc, as you said, it's going to be, we'll extract some value from a very average body. So I'm not sure if you're putting RDU on a dry hand. Like, I mean, the odds of him not having a 3-drop, pretty slim, right? Like, given the amount of stuff in his hand.
It's more of a, this is a bad matchup, let's hope kind of play. It's like, the matchup's so bad that if I take the line of just clear his minion, eventually I'm going to lose. Ooh, he does have the Hungry Crab.
We're on a different game plan here, ladies and gents, and suddenly the game might have just turned around.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's crazy good.
Yeah.
This is unbelievably good for Zalae.
So you don't need this Ferryman to complete your quest. So you can go like Hungry Crab, Ferryman, Hungry Crab, or something this turn.
Yeah, because we've got 4 bounces or 4 flame elementals with just the Shadow Step, and there's also 3 more bounces, which off the draw could also let him return the crab for what it's worth. Draw of the game, Hungry Crab.
Is there any way to get a full board clear without using the Shadow Step?
No, I don't see one, unless... No, there's no amount of damage you can deal to these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You have to use the 2 bounces if you want to clear up all those minions.
Okay.
So you might use the Shadow Step instead, right? He's going for the quest completion with the crab? Is that what's happening?
Seems... No, not with the crab. He's just setting up for the... Oh, he is maybe going with it with the crab. No, this way he saves the Ferryman for the quest completion and gets the full clear on the board. So he has to utilize Shadow Step, but he gets a full clear on the board, and he still has the quest completion with the Flame Elementals in his hand. I like this. This is good. Yeah. Does all the things you need to do this turn. Make sure you have some way to complete the quest still, and make sure you kill everything. Those are the 2 things he needed to do. Those are the 2 things he did.
And the RDU's face is just showing how desperate he is. Just like, oh, well, I guess I've got to play into more bouncers if there are more bouncers. At least the quest is not completed yet. Mm-hmm. Well, this is a pretty bad draw for Zalae. At least it's a 5-5.
Yeah, 0 mana 5-5. That's not too bad. He gets to play double Wisp and then Ferryman one of the Wisps. I mean, not Wisps, Flame Elementals. And then play the final Flame Elemental for the quest. Completing the quest on turn 6, able to play Wisp, and if you top decks a 1-drop that alongside it, leaving only up a 1/5 of pressure from RDU's side.
Yeah, it doesn't really deal with all that much. It shows you'd like to get those minions big before, potential concept comes up. I'm not sure if RDU's list is running 1, 2, 0. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit of a worry in the back of his mind. But I don't think you can, once you get that quest out at this point in the game, you should be able to just take it.
Right. He's trying to hedge his bets around Consecrate a little bit, putting some chip damage in.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, you have the Ferryman that lives through it as of right now, so...
So you can hold on to the Flame Elemental and go Flame Elemental Wisp next turn, guaranteeing 2 5/5s. So you don't have to rely on top decking a 1-drop.
And potentially playing into removal, so definitely seems super solid to me. Mm-hmm. I like that line of play, and RDU now probably hoping for Sunkeeper Tarim to slow down, because he knows the quest is going to get completed, just to mitigate some of the damage output from that quest once it comes online.
There's no stopping it.
Yeah, this is that's
beginning of the end. The look on RDU's face.
Yep. Good enough a player to know when he's gonna get that quest completed, no matter what. So his best hope at this point is to stall.
The eye for an eye to push for 5 damage. Okay, I like that. If your opponent doesn't have a dagger up, oftentimes punch him in the face for 5, which is sweet.
If he gets Consec off the draw too, it cleans up a lot of the stuff on the board. Something to keep in mind.
He's got a True Silver, which is 8 damage. So
yeah,
he's a third of the way there.
He's got 13 with Eye for an Eye. Well, the dagger is going to defuse it, but in a perfect world where they have to dagger ping a Tyrion shield.
Right. He needs a Tyrion. He needs a Tyrion.
He never gets a turn 8, dude. He just never... Is there a turn 8 in that guy's future? Okay. Oh, he's Sunkeeper to Reams now.
Right.
Okay. Okay, got it. He's getting to turn 8. Okay. But we're going to give him that chance.
Get him there. He is screwed. There's no way he's going to turn 8.
There's no turn 8 in that.
There's no turn 8. That's far away.
Yeah, and that's not helping at all. And RDU is just going to scoop it to Zalae's Quest Rogue.
Quest Rogue able to take the W. The Paladin has been kind of the way that Quest Rogue's wiggling its wins in all of these matchups. So maybe these aggro Murloc Paladins are not the best possible way to target Quest Rogue. We saw in HCT preliminaries for Europe last weekend, Hunter was coming out as an option. A lot of people played Hunter instead of Pirate Warrior, actually. And it might have worked better if you play Hunter over the Paladin. Who knows?
I mean, I'll say one thing. When you live in a world where people like there's no like 1 mana crab that eats a beast.
Right, yeah.
Maybe it's just better to play
yeah.
Hunter. So it's really what's happening here. The story of these matchups, you say, Rogue's winning against Paladin. I mean, sure, sometimes you get the Glacial Shard, Infinite Bounce, freeze the entire board. The truth is, it mostly comes down to, hey, I played a crab, out-tempo you with a 1 mana play that eats everything, bounce it back, you lose your entire board, and that's game. So it's really the tech to it, because on paper, without Hungry Crabs, I think Murloc Paladin's edging out.
Destroys it every time, yeah.
Exactly, so it really came down to the Crab.
So the story of the groups here, we have Group A with Nyria and Tice in the lead, and Naaman. Naaman playing the aggro decks, Tice and Nyria, both more of a mid-rangey lineup. And then we have in Group B, Zalae and RDU in the lead in their group, both playing the aggro lineups. So aggro lineups doing very well, and then surprisingly, the mid-range lineups kind of sprinkling their way in there for Group A especially.
Yeah, it seems like the slower, the worse is kind of the name of the game for this tournament so far. We've had some exceptions, but generally speaking, it seems to be the trend, with mid-range really being right behind aggro and control just ending up a bit too far down. Yeah. Definitely struggling. So this is what's going to be waiting for you on the 25th, which is in 2 days at 18 CEST, which is to say 6 p.m. CEST. We're going to be getting Pavel versus Kolento as the first match of the day, and then we'll have Dr. Hippie versus Orange, Pavel versus Zalae, Kolento versus RDU, Stan Sivka versus Show, and Zalae back again against Super JJ. So we're going to be wrapping up the tournament soon enough, right? Like, we've got 3 more days of casting for this, then the last chance qualifier, and then we've got the live events that are going to be happening. So in 2 days at 6 p.m., we will have more of those matches. So Firebat, that was a pretty good day, a very aggressive day, to put it mildly.
I mean, I like aggro decks. I think they're one of the most fun decks to play, and in short bursts. I think they can get old pretty quick, but I think they're.
I like to play them 1 hour a day, and then
I think they have some of the most intricate early games, and how you can kind of develop your board to make it awkward for your opponent to remove, and how you can kind of like command the early game, I think is really interesting. I like playing aggro versus mid-range, and I like playing aggro versus control. I think those are really fun matchups that have a lot of intricacies to them. When it's strict aggro versus aggro, it's kind of but like the other aggro matchups I think are really cool. So I hate playing mirrors of anything. I think they can get really boring. Like control mirrors, it's a lot of the times whose deck list is more value in it. And then like aggro mirrors, it's whoever wins the board first. But then aggro versus control, you get that tight walk where you're like, am I playing around removal too much? Am I playing around removal too little? And you get those kind of weird spots. So those are my favorite kind of matchups. I hate mirror matchups. I think they're kind of silly in Hearthstone. But all of the diversity, matchup A versus matchup B, those are really exciting in my mind.
Yeah, I'll say that. When you play an aggro deck, the earlier decisions usually matter more in the long term than, like, the very early decisions matter more in the long term than, say, the early decisions you make as more of a control deck. We have a very linear game plan to get out of the early game. That being said, guys, this will conclude the day, and until the 25th, where I imagine you'll all be back at 6 p.m., no doubt. Have a nice one. Thanks for watching.